Hey everybody, Phi Farley here. It is Monday the 12th and the brackets are out. Lines are out. Bets have been placed. There's been movement. We have lines now getting adjusted for the early action. And I'm going to break that down. Also want to go through the biggest snubs this year, as there are some very legitimized, ticked off teams right now sitting at home or on their way to the CI or NIT. And then finally, I want to go through my top 3 betting picks for this year, especially early, where you'll want to get early money on them if you can. If not, they're still going to be better, but boy, if you can grab a good number, I say do it as soon as you can. First of all, I just want to say I don't know how USC does not make this tournament. They're in a Power 5 conference. They took second. They went into their tournament as the second seed, and they took runner-up in the conference tournament to Arizona, the number 1 seed, the only team better. I don't think you can ask much more of a team than to go through a Power 5 conference and take second place and then take second in their tournament to follow that up. USC is a good team, very worthy of playing in the NCAA tournament. If you were to go to an unbiased bid, if you were to go to KenPom and just see where they stand compared to others, I mean, USC is put, they're right at 40th overall. So you still have, considering there's 5 other teams ahead of them that did also not make the tournament. So that's 35. You're looking at about, what, 33 teams below them that are in the dance, and they're not, including some pretty high seeds, and one of which, Arizona State. How does the 8th place team in the Pac-12 jump ahead of the? I don't understand that at all. Maybe someone else could. If you want to throw that in the comments, yeah, that'd be greatly appreciated. I still don't know if I'll understand it though after that's said and done. Next, St. Mary's. St. Mary's is the number 1 KenPom team that did not make the tournament. They are number 28 overall by KP standards. Right ahead of them is Creighton. Right behind them is Texas A&M. That's what you get for playing in the WCC, I suppose. But you did pretty much everything you could this year to be able to make the tournament, other than winning the WCC conference tournament. Goes to show you that's what they think of the WCC. You pretty much have to win it to be able to go or be named Gonzaga. Last, Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State had a great, had a good season, but compared to Oklahoma, it's just unbelievable that Oklahoma State is watching this and Oklahoma is moving on into the tournament. It's too bad for Oklahoma State because beating Kansas twice, beating West Virginia on the road, beating Oklahoma twice, and then not getting the call. KP has them ranked at number 56, so it's down just a little bit of ways, and we're jumping over at about 8 other teams that did also not make the tournament, including Penn State, Notre Dame, Louisville, Baylor, and so on. So those are the 3, though, that I thought should have been in versus other teams that did get in. The first one I would pluck out, though, is Oklahoma, to be honest with you, and going by my picks, I don't think they're going to get past the first round anyway, so the joke will be on them. Real quick, want to go through the biggest upsets that I could see from a seed 12 or beyond. First is a team that I like a lot, is Davidson. Davidson is, if you were to look at one of the top criteria for her quality team, which is assists to turnovers, they are the number 1 team in the country for assist to turnover ratio. Also, free throw percentage of all the teams in the tournament, they're the number 1 team for free throw percentage as well. So when they get a lead, they can keep the lead by getting to the charity stripe. And then finally, the other one that I thought was surprising, they're also number 2 of all the teams going to the tournament in 3-point percentage. Unfortunately for them, this is the only thing going to, is they're playing Kentucky. Kentucky is one of those teams that ramps up. You got to erase the first 2.5 months of the season because all those kids are 18 and 19 years old. Some of them are still literally 18 years old right now, going into this tournament, 18 years old. So that also does set up the potential for Davidson to upset Kentucky. But at the same time, Kentucky, much better athletes, and when they play up to their potential, can run away with this one, just like they did in the SEC tournament. They are really turning it on. Calipari knows exactly what he's doing. This is how the program is designed. And if Davidson got any other draw outside of Kentucky, I would be on the Davidson side. But I'll still take that as my first potential 12 seed upset. Number 13 seed that I like is Charleston, and I'm mainly fading Auburn. Auburn lost 4 of their last 6 games down the stretch. They're hurting coming into this tournament. Charleston, won their conference. They won it pretty much beginning to end throughout the whole season. They had some overtime wins in the tournament to be able to get to the NCAA bracket. But Charleston is a good enough team. They're capable. Auburn is, though, a little more physically dominant. I don't expect them to win, but if I were to pick a 13, it's going to be Charleston that could win. And finally, a team that I do like going into this is Montana. They are playing Michigan, who's off of a Big Ten championship through the tournament, but they've had a long layoff. And Montana they've also won their conference beginning to end of the season. They've played some good teams. They've hung with some good teams and also really dominated in the Big Sky Conference. Now, they are a notch below Michigan's caliber. But Michigan, surprisingly, one of the worst teams at assist-to-turnover ratios is Michigan. Which, also, funny note, Syracuse is the worst. Syracuse is the worst assist-to-turnover ratio. I take it back. Michigan is worst free throw percentage. Worst free throw percentage. They're actually number 3 in assist-to-turnover ratio. But free throw percentage, Michigan is one of the worst teams that's in the bracket. So if Montana gets on a roll, they get running, they get pushing Michigan, they could end up with an upset, and Michigan can find themselves in a tough spot if they're not making their 3-pointers, if they're not getting the ball down low, if they're not asserting their dominance. Montana could make a run at that one as a 14 seed. So there's my 3 top upsets that could potentially happen from a 12 seed or above. Now my 3 top bets that I have with the lines in mind, and unfortunately they've moved already, just going from yesterday to today, are number 1, Gonzaga. Gonzaga opened up at an 11-point favorite. It was then up to 12 this morning. It's now up to 12.5, and we got a lot of big money going in on Gonzaga. Gonzaga, and here's why. Gonzaga, great free throw shooting team. NC Greensboro would be just like a middle of the WCC conference team, of which Gonzaga dominates. So they don't just win these games, they completely destroy the other team through their athleticism, through their solid gameplay, through their lack of turnovers and discipline. I don't see any reason why Gonzaga doesn't win this one by 20, except that Gonzaga has traditionally struggled when they're in one of those top seeds. They're not quite a top seed this year, and so that will probably even play to their advantage, to their benefit. So Gonzaga, I don't think 11 is the right number, nor 12.5. KP has that game rated at 15.5. That's the point spread they would have given Gonzaga here. I don't see Greensboro hanging around for very long, and look for Gonzaga to really put them away in the second half. Next up, Rhode Island. I really like Rhode Island's backcourt. I have for a lot of the season. Sorry, I'm just looking over at my notes real quick. I have for all season, and here they get the team that I think shouldn't even have made the tournament. Only won 2 games since the end of January. They haven't won a road game since the end of January, and I'm expected to back them in the tournament. I don't think so. Especially when you consider the recipe for beating Oklahoma is stopping Trae Young. Teams figured that out. They started stopping Trae Young, and they started losing. Here we have a Rhode Island backcourt that is fantastic. They're really, really good. It's how they hang in their games. I'm sorry, I'm pulling up the bet percentages and things like that right now as we speak. So there's a lot of big money going in on Rhode Island, opening up at a pick, and it's now up to 2.5. 2.5 is just fine. I'll take the 2.5. And at this point, it's going to continue to go up as I see it. So I would take the 2.5 with Rhode Island and look for them to shut down Oklahoma, just as every other team has here down the stretch for the most part. So good news is Oklahoma will be out of this tournament sooner rather than later. Now, last team I like is Montana. I do like Montana plus the 12. Now it's been bet down. What's it at now? 11.5. So money is coming in on Montana, just like I thought. Actually, it's down to 11 now. So more money's coming in on Montana and moving this line down. I don't know if I'd like it so far. I think Michigan will win the game. However, I do think Montana's going to give them a scare. Montana plays clean basketball. They don't have a lot of turnovers. They get to the line, and so 79% of the cash is coming in on Montana right now, moving that line down. So I do like Montana to cover. I think it's a good spot for them. Michigan, after a long rest, could find themselves down in that game early, and then Montana will push them. But again, I don't think they'll end up winning it, but I will take the 11 points at this point. So there you go. There's my early call. Don't forget to look for my picks before each game. I'll be putting them out here as we go each day. I've won the last, I think it's 5 straight now. Going into today, had another winner today with almost an outright win by the 9-point dog, Abilene Christian. But anyway, watch my picks, subscribe so you can get the videos. And I love this time of year, Thursday and Friday. I don't know if there's a better 2 days in sports than to watch those opening 2 days of the NCAA basketball tournament. So good luck, everybody. I'd love to hear your opinions and takes on this. Put some comments down below so I can read those, fire some responses back, see where you're at with the games that I've talked about and all the other games that we didn't talk about. All right, good luck, everybody. See you again soon.